So sometimes people want to do a bridge restoration and they want to do Emacs CAD-on. Now CAD-on can be a same-day procedure, but typically it's not a same-day procedure. And I've heard from some that sometimes they want to mill actually a temporary restoration. And this video is going to describe the most efficient way to mill a temporary restoration, whether it's Vita, CAD temp, or it's Ivoclar Telio CAD, but they want to use the same file to actually mill the overlay, especially for the CAD-on. So I'm going to show you this video how to do that. So in the administration phase, we're going to choose Bridge. The abutment teeth are going to be Crown, Biogeneric, Multilayer. Now even though we're milling a temporary, I want you to designate it as multilayer. We're going to choose tooth number 18, tooth number 20. We're going to choose the Pontic, Biogeneric individual, multilayer, tooth number 19. You'll always know you designated it right because you have two materials down here you have to select. Now even though we're doing the temporary, at first we're going to choose the veneering structure is going to be Emacs. The framework material is going to be Zircad, and hit OK. Now we're just going to skip the scans. We just took our normal scans with the posing, the prep, and the buckle bite. We'll go directly to model. We'll go ahead. The first step, we need to obviously draw the margins. Make sure when you're drawing the margins you look at the bottom to see which tooth is actually designated. You'll see it's actually 18 in this case is designated. So we'll go ahead and we'll marginate tooth number 18. We'll go ahead, I'll skip to 20 just to do the two abutments first. We'll marginate 20. Now since we're doing CAD-on, it's very important when you marginate the Pontic. Oh, it looks like I messed up tooth number 18. Hold on a second here. Okay, now we'll do the Pontic. Since you're doing CAD-on, it's very important that you don't draw your margin for your Pontic like this. Okay, if you do it like that, you're going to have a lot of trouble with the intersecting connector between the Pontic and the abutment to get that split file to work. So we'll go ahead and we'll reset that tooth. So we know we need a broad intersecting area because at the end, the final restoration is going to be Emacs CAD-on. So you need a very broad intersecting area. So we're going to make sure we draw our Pontic as if there was a tooth there that we actually prepped. So what's the margin going to look like if we prep it? So you want to be a very broad Pontic bottom line. We'll define the restoration bridge insertion axis. That looks actually pretty good. We'll hit OK. Since that looked good, we can skip the next step and go on to the parameters. Now when we do the parameters, the top layer is basically going to be the Emacs, or in this case it's actually going to be the temporary. So just design the parameters like you normally would. Our spacer for CAD-on, I'm going to go a little higher. We want our occlusal offset to be the same. We'll say -150. The contacts, you guys can do whatever you want on there. Minimal thickness, we want to make sure we keep it pretty low. I guess 700 is probably pretty good. The bottom layer, let's go ahead and set this. The spacer is going to be a little bit lower because it's zirconia. We're going to actually be cementing this. The minimal thickness are both going to be at 500. Margin thickness is going to be at 300. We're going to have to reduce that to 100. And everything else is okay. So let's go ahead, and we did that for tooth number 18. You're going to have to go ahead and do the same thing for tooth number 20. Unfortunately, you have to do the same thing for both restorations. So we'll go to tooth number 20. We'll go to 30. Occlusal offset, -150. Just basically, I'm going to duplicate the actual parameters that I put for the other restorations. And then finally our Pontic is going to have less parameters. We'll be okay. Let's go ahead and calculate the restoration. Okay, so here's a proposal. I went ahead and edited a little bit using the circular shape tool. The big thing with CAD-on is you want to make sure that you have big intersecting connectors. Now, if you don't understand what I'm saying by intersecting connectors, please go back to the bridge videos which describe the intersecting versus the anatomic connectors. So we've got very nice intersecting connectors here. we designated everything as multi-layer. So if we went ahead and we wanted to go ahead and do the multi-layer, we have to split the file. But unfortunately, what we want to do is we want to go ahead and mill this as a temporary first. So what we're going to do is we're not going to split the file. We'll go ahead to the mill phase. We see we've got the crown here. This is showing, I'm guessing, an Emax block because we said the top layer is going to be Emax. So if we hit mill, it's going to ask for the Emax 40 millimeter block. So let's go ahead back to administration. We're going to edit it. We're going to select the veneering material as, let's say, Ivoclar Teleocad, and hit OK. Now we'll go back to the mill phase, and then we can mill this out of Teleocad. Okay, so now we've got our temporary restoration. Now let's say they wear that for a week, 2 weeks, 2 days, whatever you want them to wear it. And now in the meantime, you want to actually mill this out of CAD-on. So but what I usually do is, so I don't forget, is in the mill phase, I'm going to go back to administration. I'm going to edit the restoration. I'm going to choose the veneering structure, and I'm going to switch that back to Emax. Hit OK. We'll go back to design phase, and we're at the same exact design. Now we're going to right click, we're going to split the file, hit apply. It's going to split the file into the veneering structure and the framework. So there you've got the framework and you've got the overlay, and now you can go to the mill preview. You can actually mill or send to Infinident or send to your lab the zirconia framework. You can mill the Emax overlay, and then you can actually fuse them together in the oven. So the reason I made this video is just so if you want to actually make an Emax multi-layer bridge and you want to make a temporary at the same time, just first designate it multi-layer, do everything the same, just make sure you switch the veneering structure material before you mill your temporary, and then make sure you switch it back when you're going ahead to mill the multi-layer restoration. So you don't have to design it twice, you can do it all in once. Just make sure you designate it and mill the correct way.